Attention, all of my elevated content seekers. We Believe Digital is designed to inspire. Whether it's music, news, entertainment, We Believe Digital has the content that you don't want to miss. We're bringing you the best in news, entertainment, sports, inspiration, and so much more. Not only are we designed to inspire, but you can advertise with us and reach your target audience now. Got something that you believe in? Well, we believe in you, and we're offering you the opportunity to become a podcaster at We Believe Digital Studios. To become a want to know more? You can contact us at www.webelievedigital.com. And while you're at it, be sure to follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Roku at We Believe Digital.
For me. All right, there was the countdown, and look here. Look at the screen, you guys. It is Tamika, known as Miss Cali on this page because I'm from Mississippi and California. Woo, woo. The best of both worlds. And I have my special guest, Brad Kamikaze. I always mess it up. Kamikaze Franklin. Did I say it right?
There you go. There you go. You got it.
Thank you. Yay, go me. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your busy schedule. I wanted to talk to you for several reasons, but before I get into that, I would love for you to introduce yourself to people because I am a growing podcast. We're brand new, and a lot of people may not know who you are. So would you please introduce yourself?
Of course. My name is Brad Kamikaze Franklin. I hail from Jackson, Mississippi. Been a Jacksonian my entire life. Graduate of the I Love Jackson State University. I am the president of Hourglass Media Group, and I am the founder of Jackson Indie Music Week, founder of Juneteenth on Farish, founder of the Thousand Men Movement, and I consider myself to be a husband, father, activist, artist, moderator, whatever the situation or the mission calls for. I stand on the ready. So that's kind of me in a nutshell.
I love that. And thank you so much for the intro.
So
before we get started, I want them to play a minute of some music that you have, right? And then we're going to definitely get into the music before this is over. So Jordan, if you would play a minute of the video, that would be awesome. And thank you. Listen, you guys. Okay, so we're gonna come back to that, and thank you for playing that. And if you guys can find it on, you definitely can find it on YouTube. Brad, where else can they find your music?
They can find my music on all streaming services. So you can go whatever you listen to. If you listen to Apple Music, Spotify, Tidal, Amazon Music, Pandora. The album is Black Mississippi Genius Part 1, and it dropped in April. And it is currently out now. So wherever you listen to music, you can check it out. You can also check it out on YouTube. The entire album is on YouTube as well. But whatever streaming service you listen to, you'll be able to get the album.
Okay, perfect. So let's start with this. Let me tell you, I know a lot of Black men in Jackson, Mississippi, specifically, right? And it's quite interesting. I do know a lot of them. And they're not just my Facebook friends. I actually know these people, have relationships with them, or they know my father, and I got to meet them through someone in my family, right? And this show is for blended families, so we're definitely be talking about families. But when I think about the Black men in Jackson, Mississippi, specifically, you come to mind. And let me explain why. Because on one of your Facebook talks, you talked about the kids today are really different, right? And I try to get my mind around that, having a brown son who is 37 next month, and how
Hmm.
society looks at them as men, as you said, at an early age. They're
Hmm.
still at some point boys, then young men, and then they get into adulthood. But society
Right.
isn't looking at them like that, right?
Right.
So I think I met you around 2013, 2014, and when I
Hmm.
think about men in Jackson, Mississippi, like I said, you come to mind because you have this responsibility to your family, to
Hmm.
your businesses, plural,
Yeah.
to whatever
Yeah.
role you're having in a career, and to the
Hmm.
community. And that really
Hmm.
speaks volumes to me because it's consistent and it's not one of those sassy kind of men thing. It's the old school type of men that I grew up with that I have the utmost respect for because they seem to
Hmm.
be harder and harder to find.
Hmm.
And so
I-
I wanted to go ahead, talk about it.
Well, I mean, I won't say that they're harder to find.
Mhm.
Uh, I would just say that society buries them more easily than they do other people. There is a running narrative that exists about black men in our community. There's a running narrative that exists about our black babies as well. So when you're dealing with a narrative that's been painted about our people with black folks, when they've already painted the picture of the fathers being absent from the home, but recent studies and things that we have seen have shown that there's a different story that exists out there as far as it relates to black fathers and their being in the home and their participation in the home. But when you are dealing with decades, hundreds of years of propaganda and narrative being spun against you, it would make it seem that good men, strong men, just men are hard to find. But I think in our community, they try to look at that as the exception and not the norm. And when you hear something long enough, doesn't matter if it's true or not, if you hear it long enough, it becomes truth for you. It becomes a real thing for you. And I think that's more so our problem here in Mississippi with our men. We've heard the narrative for so long that we have taken it upon ourselves to carry it around like an albatross. So, when you have that, it's a lot of work that we have to do to kind of try to fight through that. Uh, but as far as the men that are out there that I think are good and just and are ready to fight, I think they're way more plentiful than people want to give us credit for, if that makes sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. And thank you for that. So
Mhm.
let me think about this here. We're talking about how kids are being raised different. You said something about
Mhm.
them being tech natives, right? And I
Mhm.
completely agree with you. And so you also said a moment ago, when you hear something long enough, you will begin to believe it, whether it may or may not be the truth, right?
Right.
That's like when you raise a kid and you say, "Hey, you're smart, you're intelligent, you're these things." They believe that. If you feed them negative things, they will also believe that. So my
Absolutely.
question is, because the rearing of children is so different and the connections, how do we, now I'm 56, I'm not sure how old you are, but how
Mhm.
do we in 40 and above connect with the younger generation? Like, what do you think?
Listening, I think is the key thing with young people. When I talk to young kids, and I'm currently doing some mentoring with some students with the Living with Purpose organization over in the Jackson Medical Mall that is run by Judge Carlin Hicks and John Knight. And one of the biggest things, probably the number one thing that those kids say is that no one listens to them. Uh, they say that the people cannot relate to them. The older people that they're talking to can't relate to them, don't understand what it is that they're dealing with, or they assume that, older tactics and things that worked in the past will still work in these times. And those things are not connecting with younger people. And that causes them sometimes to tune out. And I think what needs to happen with people in my generation and the millennials, you know, just a few years under me. I'm 55 myself. I mean, I've got grown kids and I've got grandbabies. So it's an evolution, and you have to be willing to be malleable and evolve enough to be able to have those conversations that you need to have with young people to kind of find out what it is that they're dealing with, because they are tech native. They are exposed to much more than we were exposed to at their age. The world is literally at their fingertips right now.
Yeah.
And they can reach or see or touch any place on this planet and in the cosmos just by being on their smartphone. And when you have that type of exposure, when you have kids that are getting exposed to that kind of thing so early, uh, it's already off to the races. When they're in preschool, they're off to the races because they've got tablets at 2, 3 years old. So by the time they're 4 or 5 years old, they know how to operate tablets. They know how to turn them on. They know when to charge them up. They know how to surf the internet. They know all of these things at 5 years old. You know, surfing the internet was not something that, you know, you and I touched on until the early 2000s. So, you know, when you think about how advanced they are, the way that we talk to them and the way that we teach them and mentor them has to also evolve in the same fashion.
Right. And I agree with you. I think listening is a great part of it. And then
Mhm.
doing the best you can. My dad will be 80 in October. So
Mhm.
doing the very best you can to understand their world and where they're coming from without putting on our expectations so much
Correct.
on them. It does go with
Correct.
listening. You know, try to
Correct.
have a clear understanding without being so quick to judge and compare because
Yeah.
everybody's different.
Yes.
I know my sisters and I, we have the same father, but
Mhm.
our learning skills are way different. And
Yes.
so you can't compare everybody to, you know, I don't like when people do that. Well, Johnny good A's in math and so, doesn't
Mhm.
matter. Everybody has a different learning skill
Yes.
and
I
how
mean, I
to
think
learn.
anybody that parents multiple kids understands that concept. You can't, you know, no parent raises all of their kids the same.
No, they should not.
Because all of your kids learn at a different pace. They have different things that they like. They have different dislikes. So, you know, we've got, you know, 4 kids that range from 32 all the way down to 16. And the 16-year-old gets parented different than the 28-year-old. The 28-year-old gets parented different than the 29-year-old. And the oldest gets parented differently. But that's what you have to do because you have 4 different singular personalities that you have to deal with. And now even with my grandsons, I have twin grandsons, and even with them being twins, the 2 of them are, you know, looking and touching and experiencing things in a different pace, in a different fashion, and they like
Right.
different things. And you have to be malleable to that. The one size fits all concept that people try to use or used previously, that just simply does not work anymore. So I tell people all the time, you can either keep doing what, you know, you think worked for you and watching it not work, or you can be willing to change and evolve and learn how to really connect and deal with younger people or people in society today because it's different. Oh, the old ways just are not going, they're not going to work. They're good to fall back on, and they're good to kind of you know, reach back to as a basis, as a foundation. It's good, but you know, old keys don't open new doors, as they say.
They do not. They
Yeah.
do say that. It was a really good point.
Mhm.
So let's put a pause there for a second. Like grandfather of twins.
Mhm.
So are your grandchildren in Mississippi?
They are in Atlanta, actually. My oldest daughter lives in Atlanta, and they were just here on last week, as a matter of fact. So they spent a week here. So they were with me here while I was on vacation, and yeah, it's a blessing to be able to make it to this point, and it's also a blessing to be, you know, spry and fit and healthy enough to be able to, you know, do the things with them that they need with that, you know, 1.5-year-old energy that they have. But I'm glad aging has been fantastic for me. It didn't start off that way, but it's began to grow on me. So, you know, things like grandkids and family and Seeing the young kids in our family grow up and trying to mentor the next generation, trying to give back as much as I can now. There's a different there's a different aura around aging and evolving for me now, and I'm just kind of leaning into it as much as possible.
Yeah, and I love that. I love that for both of us. I asked because some people who are grandparents have their grandchildren in the same city or the same state, where you do not. I just learned that. And I have one granddaughter who will be 2 next month. Well, she's in the West Coast. She lives in the Bay Area. So I'm like, how am I supposed to figure this out? Because I have to spend time with her.
Yeah.
And it'll come together. I just can't wait for her to be big enough where I can go on the plane, get her, and bring her back.
Yes, absolutely.
But congratulations to you and the parents.
Thank you.
That's truly a blessing.
Yes.
So we are going to take a pause here to do our commercial break, and then we're going to come back and get into some more things.
Okay, cool.
Be right back, you guys.
Oh, what a beautiful day outside. Great day to be working with the We Believe Digital Network. Oh, hey, what's going on? How you doing? I wasn't expecting you to be here yet, but since you're here, hey, welcome to the We Believe Digital Network, where we make your dreams come true. We have a podcast station and a radio station that I'm about to show you. Come on inside. Okay, so now that you're inside, let me take you into the room where we make all the magic happen, right here in the We Believe Digital podcast and radio station studio itself. All right, then, y'all ready? Let's go. Hey, welcome to the behind the scenes room of the We Believe Digital podcast, where all the podcast and engineering happens when we make all the magic happen. I am your engineer, head engineer, JB. How you doing? Hope all is well. Currently right now at the We Believe Digital Network, we have a deal going on for $99 an hour studio sessions. So don't miss out on this opportunity. Let us know if you want it. And reach out to your team and we'll build your dream. Have a good one. Oh, come on in. Hey, welcome to the behind the scenes of the We Believe Digital radio station, where everything We Believe Digital radio takes place. I am currently mixing and mastering a playlist for the radio station. Speaking of that, if you have any suggestions or even your own songs or podcasts or talk shows that you might want to be featured right here on the radio station, you can email us at webelieveplatforms@gmail.com. Catch y'all on the Hey, feel like your voice needs to be heard? Ever wanted to be on your own podcast or even be a part of one? Guess what? You now can right here at the We Believe Digital Network, but we'll make it happen. You can catch us at this email, at this location, and this phone number.
Have you had your Earthblend coffee today? At Earthblend Coffee, we take pride in offering you the very best of beans across the world, blended and roasted to perfection, giving you superior quality and satisfying and flavorful taste. Experience the world in one cup with Earthblend Coffee.
To order, visit earthblendcoffee.co now.
Thank you guys so much for watching, right? And for sharing and telling other people about For Blended Family. That's the name of this podcast. I want to talk to you just briefly about the Tate Reeves, right?
Mhm.
For the 3rd year in a row, turning down the state and federal programs.
Yeah.
Which is a tough thing because, as we know, in the summertime, even during the school years, not just about the summer,
Correct.
a lot of children, that is their meals
Yeah.
when they get to school, whether it's breakfast and lunch or if it's just lunch. And summer camp in Los Angeles, I remember my auntie taking us to different camps
Mhm.
to get the jungle juice and a lunch box.
Absolutely.
And so I'm like, hey, that just breaks my heart to know that there's going to be so many, we can't even count the children who are going to go through the day and go to bed hungry.
Mhm.
Would you talk about that?
So, this is something that I saw in Mississippi Today posted the article originally, but it's something that I've talked about previously on my page when I was talking about welfare and the SNAP benefits, and they were talking about how they were trying to prevent people from, buying sodas and I think candy and I guess chips or whatever, or junk food with their SNAP benefits and the debate that existed around that. And I learned really that there is such a disconnect right now. Like everybody talks about how things are different now and how people are unified and how the world is this and the world is that. And every day I look online and I see that there is a huge disconnect between the Black community and the white community, or even sections of the Black community, as it relates to poverty and how poverty and impoverished conditions really affect Black folk. Um, and it's difficult because Black people are the face of it, and they've made us the face of it, and that they created this narrative for it. But the governor has shown us, and even the administration in the White House has shown us, that they are not in any way, shape, form, or fashion going to support anything that will allow anyone that is not a white person to benefit or to have anything. It's almost as if they want to ensure that if you are not a white person, we're going to make sure that you don't have anything. And especially not anything that provides any level of equity for you as a Black or brown person, as a colored person. There's no reason why Tate Reeves would have refused that money, other than the fact that, he wants to continuously over and over again try to make sure that, welfare recipients and people on SNAP and whoever the case is, are not able to live a good quality of life. And it's unfortunate. So I just spoke about that, as I do a lot of things. Those kids, as you said, some of them, the meals they get at school is the only meal that they're going to get in their house that day. The meals that they get at camp. This program that he refused was going to be able to provide groceries for families across the summer. And these were the families who were on free lunch during the school year. So, right now, immediately now, with this being one of the hottest summers of all time, you've got kids who are not going to be eating healthy meals or eating at all in these instances. And then they're going to have to turn right back around at the end of this month and go back to school, with empty bellies and minds that are scattered out all over the place. Because how in the world can you concentrate when your belly ain't full? I think a lot of people don't understand that. When you're hungry, when your home situation is not going well, you're not going to excel in school as well as somebody who has a more stationary life. And I think it's incumbent upon us to figure out how to fill in those gaps for these kids. Someone was talking about the Black Panther Party and how they started the free lunch program and the free breakfast program. There are things that we can do in our community to supplant that. It's just a matter of us figuring out how we as Black people can stand in the gap for our impoverished people that exist. So it's a huge undertaking, but it's something that we definitely need to look into.
So if you figure something out, please let me know. Even if it's on the break from school for the week, if it's something that we can get together and say, hey, we've got this week when they get out for Thanksgiving or something, so that they eat, other than Thanksgiving. We know they're going to eat Thanksgiving, and people are giving out baskets and turkeys and all of the things. Yeah. But if you figure out something, please let me know, because I would love to be able to contribute
I will definitely
to that.
I like to, get with community partners and come up with ideas. And, this is just another one of the things that keep out, just like we did with Operation Zero Out with the water issue. Like when things come up in the community, it's going to take the community rallying around itself in order to fix the things, because Superman is not coming. We already know that Tate Reeves is going to refuse any and absolutely all help that is sent this way. So in knowing that, we're going to have to figure out ways for us to be able to take care of ourselves, because again, Superman is not coming. There are no superheroes coming to save us. And these things that are ailing us in our community, we're going to have to start figuring out ways to take care of them ourselves.
Yeah, Absolutely. The next thing I want to talk about is, ooh, and I don't want to get choked up about it, but one of your posts you mentioned Carmelo Anthony, Nolan
Hmm.
Wells, and Cyrus. I can't think of his last name right now. It starts with a
Cyrus
B.
Benton.
Benton. Okay, thank
Hmm.
you. I don't even know, without getting all choked up about it. Again, I have a son who
Hmm.
is double minority. He's double minority, so he's Hispanic and
Hmm.
Black. And
Hmm.
I just feel so concerned about him more and more as the years go by. Like, is he going to be okay when he leaves his home? I always felt that way. You always thought that, but now
Yes.
more so than ever. I don't know what you'd like to say about that, but here's the floor.
So, and again, and seeing what happened with Carmelo Anthony first, and I made the post and made a video about parents who are putting their kids in situations where they're the only black kid, or putting them in situations where they feel like I'm doing this for my kid to give him a better life and to give him better experiences. So they move them into the white neighborhood, into the white enclave, and send them to the white school because they honestly feel like they are doing what's best for their kid. When in actuality, you're sending your kids into a situation that I have always deemed to be dangerous. And I think after looking in this Nolan Wells situation and this Carmelo Anthony situation, situations that I have deemed to be dangerous for our black babies. Uh, we have to deal with a different set of external stimuli. We have to deal with things differently. We have to look at things differently. We have to conduct ourselves differently. We have to take an accounting for ourselves and our friends and our colleagues differently than white folks have to do. Uh, and that is a social moray that black kids should have instilled in them from the beginning. And I don't think that it happens enough. And that's what gets us in these situations where we're always caught up because, again, this world, or there are people in this world that are trying to tell us that racism is a thing of the past and that it's something that we keep drumming up and we keep dredging up. And every day we see examples of it, Tamika, of racism still existing and still running rampant. And black people are telling the world what our lived experiences are. And it's like the rest of the world is kind of scoffing at it. And if you have a black son, even black daughter, but specifically we're talking about young black men, it's imperative upon you to have that conversation with them, to let them know. Just like you talking about your son, the fear that you have for your son going outside of the house is different than someone who is not black or brown. Every parent has a fear of something happening to their kid when they walk out of the house. But for black and brown people, that fear is much different. The feeling is much different. The feeling that you just spoke about is different than the feeling than someone who is sending their white kids out. It's different than what they have to experience. And we have to acknowledge that, and we have to be true with ourselves and say that this is a reality that we're having to deal with, and not deal with the sugar-coated world that we want to exist looking through the rose-colored glasses, not the kumbaya world that people keep drilling into our brains as black folks that does not really exist. We have to give our kids real insight, and we have to give them real tools for them to survive in a world that's going to see them as a criminal at first sight, and then they have to prove to them that they aren't a criminal before they have any level of treatment that treats them as if they are human beings, as if they have any humanity. So uh, it's hard, man. I can't even really put it into words. It's just hard between these deaths that have happened back to back. It's just very difficult. Our lives not being worth a bottle of water, our lives not being worth a box of diapers, not being able to defend ourselves. And now with the Nolan Wells situation down in Ocean Springs, this two black parents that will not be able to see their son again, and nobody knows anything to tell them. And everybody keeps saying, "Hey, calm down, black people. This isn't about race. Calm down, black people. This isn't about race." But when you have had to deal with what we've had to deal with historically, how else are we supposed to look at it? We're going to say that initially right off the top, even before anything is done. And, it gets frustrating at times, and it gets hard, and it gets exhausting to have to deal with it, Tamika. So, yeah, that's kind of my piece on that. And I'm just waiting to see what happens with this Nolan Wells situation. And I hope that his family is able to find some peace at some point.
Yeah, I feel you on that. My heart and prayers go out to them
Mhm.
and their family and their community that Nolan Well was a part of. And it's going to unfold. Whatever happened is definitely going to come to light. I can't say anything about the consequences of it because that part is out of our control. But I do know that the lawyer that they got does not play any games. And so it is my belief that he's going to investigate and he's going to find out what happened to that young man.
Absolutely.
And we will all know.
Yes.
Wow, that was a little heavy. But it's where we are.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this. And I know it's like jumping all over the place,
Mhm.
but you have a song that says something about Jesus rose on the third day, and you said something about never trusting. What were you talking about?
So I was talking about racist, and I was talking about far right wing conservatives. I was talking about people of that ilk, MAGA supporters, Make America Great Again, Trump sycophants, who invoke Christianity, basically. The right wing Christian faction of the Republican Party or the Conservative Party, the one that touts all of the Christian values. And they're the people that you'll see on the side of the road with the signs that say "He saves." And they can quote to you Bible verses, and they can talk to you about God and talk to you about what God does not want. Talk to you about what God wants to happen to the babies and why you shouldn't abort them, and what God wants to happen to the LGBTQIA community. They'll tell you about all of these religious things, and then they'll turn around in the next breath and call you a nigger. And that's the kind of hypocrisy that I was talking about on that song. As much as you say you love God and you love Christ and how much of a Christian you are, you hate the skin that I'm in. You hate people that look like me. You vote for things that are going to continue to hold people that look like me in a position of subjugation in this country. So your words ring hollow. Your words about God, your belief in God, your Christianity, it rings hollow to me, because you can on the one hand say this, and on the other hand, you can just turn around and call me a nigger, which is probably the farthest away from Christianity that you can get. So that's why I was saying I don't just trust that. And that's why I was saying also I don't just rap. And when I say I don't just rap, it means I'm not just out here rapping. I'm out here trying to show you what's going on in the world and alert you to what's happening in the world. So I'm not just rapping, I'm preaching, I'm giving a history lesson, I'm giving a warning, I'm giving a call to action, I'm giving all of those things. So that's kind of what I spoke about on the song Reap. Is one of my favorite songs, if not my favorite song on the Black Mississippi Genius album. And Amanda Ferge, who is absolutely amazing. She did her thing on there with the spoken word. And, shout out to her. And she was just the icing on the cake for the song. So I wanted something where the words would be the main focus. So the music, the accompaniment on that song is there to serve as a backdrop. It's there to serve as kind of like a foundation for the plate for me to put this meal on, because I wanted people to concentrate on what I was saying with the words more so than anything on that song. So yeah, that's probably my favorite song on the record. and the one that means the most to me, and the one that's kind of saying the most, and touching on really what's going on in the world right now. And I think that's what we need a lot from our artists right now. Is we need some revolution music out here now. We need some liberation music.
Right.
We need some people talking about what's going on in the world. We don't have any public enemies out here anymore. Any Ice
Yeah,
Cubes,
that's why. Even
those
J.
people.
Cole now.
Huh?
I said, even I think his name is J. Cole.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
talked about, yeah,
J. Cole touches on some things. I will give J. Cole his props. He does
yeah,
touch on some things. But it's sparingly, it's here and there. Like, in
right.
the time when we were wearing the African medallions and the kente cloth, and we had the Public Enemies and the X Clans and the KRS Ones, there were some very poignant, conscious artists that existed out there that were talking about what was going on in the world today. And we need more of that, especially with us being in Mississippi. There's so much going on in Mississippi right now. I'm looking forward to hearing other Mississippi artists talk about what's going on in the political climate in the state.
Yeah, that would be good
Yeah.
because Mississippi is a very different type of
Mhm.
place. It is. I'm gonna say this for the record. It's something that you have to get used to. I moved away. I went to Piney Woods, but I grew up in
Mhm.
California. So when I moved back
Mhm.
home, which is Jackson to me, well, which is Mississippi, because I'm from Haven and Canton.
Yeah.
When I moved there in 2013, I felt like I had stepped back into not the twilight zone, but back in time. And I
Mhm.
felt the energy of people because they would say, "You're not from here." Like, I'm
Mhm.
like, what? I am from here. I just didn't grow up here my entire life. And so they
Right.
take possession of the city and the state, but really the
Mhm.
city of Jackson. And I didn't
Yeah.
understand that because I hadn't been there. I didn't know the culture. I didn't know the people. I didn't know any of
Right.
that. I was just like,
Right.
until I
Mhm.
started to experiencing it. And then I took pride, my own pride, and this is our city. Now I'm getting it. I'm getting it,
Yeah.
And so I know that people say a lot of negative things about Jackson, but what I want to tell you is that Jackson is a wonderful place. When I talk
Absolutely.
about community and support, there is nothing like it. No, you can't get everybody to ride with you or go to one cause, but you couldn't do that if you lived in Indiana. When you
Yeah.
live over
Absolutely.
here in Alabama, it doesn't make
Absolutely.
a difference.
Absolutely.
Everybody's not going to go with you. So you
Absolutely.
take those people who believe in the mission or believe in the cause and see the vision and you go for it. So
Yeah.
Jackson to me it's my heart. I actually love it. I do stay in Atlanta, but I'll be back in Jackson this weekend because I just
Mhm.
can't get enough of it.
Right.
So with that being said, I know you said that you grew up in Jackson. Correct me if I'm
Mhm.
wrong. And I
Yeah.
know people ask all the time, but what makes you stay there?
The mission makes me stay here. This is hallowed ground. I tell people Mississippi is the birthplace of America's music. It is the cradle of civilization for Black folk in this country. We have some of the most incredible athletes, authors, and artists that come from this soil. People outside of this state have a respect and a reverence for it when it comes to our artists and our athletes and our authors. They have a reverence for it that we don't even have for ourselves. They have a love and
Mm,
respect for it that we don't even have for ourselves. I've traveled this entire world and toured the Czech Republic and toured in Ghana and Amsterdam, and people that I ran into of all shades and creeds from different places. They talk about the South, first of all, the southern part of the United States, and they talk about Mississippi. And Mississippi is some place that they want to come and experience and be a part of. It's only us that is here that have heard people take a dump on Mississippi all of these years. It is only us who have grown up listening to people say everything negative about Mississippi that you can say, and we've grown up with it and kind of took it on. It's only us here that don't realize how powerful we are and how hallowed this ground is and how precious this soil is. It's only us that believe that. And I had the opportunity to live in Atlanta for a while, and I lived in New York for a while. And I was always drawn back here, because if I leave and if people like me leave and if people of my ilk and people of my talent level, if all of us continue to leave, who's going to stay here and build? Who's going to stay here and make this place great for the younger people that are coming after us? Who's going to stay here and fight the fight? Who's going to
That's right.
stay here and not concede? And I took it upon myself to say I'm going to come in and I'm going to plant my feet in the ground, and I'm going to stay here and I'm going to fight, whether it be politically, socially, fighting a stigma, fighting a narrative, fighting a public official, fighting a politician, fighting a social moray, fighting a narrative, whatever it is, I'm
All of
going
the
to
things.
stay and I'm going to fight. And I think we're now getting a lot more young people who are willing to take up that charge as well, because like we talked about before, the internet has shrunk the world down. The internet has shrunk this country down. And now, whereas when I first started doing music in the late 90s, there was no internet. You had to drive to different places to go contact people, and you had to drive to different places to go to the studio. The world was not as shrunk down and as connected as it is now. So, yeah, you might have had to leave and go to other places to kind of be able to network. But now, all of that is at the touch of your fingers now. The
Right.
world is much smaller now, and these younger people are realizing now, if I've got this smartphone, if I've got this iPad, if I've got this laptop, I can reach whoever I want to reach from right here in Jackson, Mississippi. I can create whatever I want to create. We have some of the fastest rising content creators, and I'm seeing people that I'd never heard of before. They're in Jackson and they've got hundreds of thousands of followers, and they're right here in Jackson, Mississippi, monetizing what it is that they're doing and hosting parties and doing that kind of thing. So the world is opened up to everybody now, and they're finding out that I can stay in Jackson, Mississippi, and I can still make an impact on the world by not leaving here. And I think this is the first generation that's actually experiencing that. So I think it's a good thing, and I think it's going to only get better.
I'm here for it, and I look forward to seeing it, all of
Yeah.
it. It's just such a beautiful thing. There's so much hidden talent in Mississippi. When I go
Mhm.
different places with my brother Chris, he
Mhm.
introduces me to stuff. I'm like, what is this? Like, I've never been there, and I'm blown away at the talent that I would not otherwise even know anything about. I think recently, were you part of what they did on Thursday night? I think it was Doolin Hall.
With Pinkbeard,
Yeah, I don't know.
the
I
country
saw
artist,
his
yeah.
name today. I never knew
Yeah,
who he
yeah, yeah,
was.
yeah, yeah. I was on that show. I met Pinkbeard in Huntsville, Alabama. We were on a music panel together at the University of North Alabama, and that was my first time meeting him and hearing about him. But he is a Grammy Award winning singer songwriter. He has written. He won a Grammy with John Legend. He wrote for John Legend's album.
Oh, wow.
Ariana Grande, or Grand, however you want to pronounce it. He's written for Brandy. He's written for several people. But he is a black country / R&B artist out of Birmingham, Alabama, and his show was absolutely amazing. A lot of energy. You know what I'm saying? He's a great guy. I mean, he walked around and interacted with people all during the show, even before he came out on stage. He interacted with the people and hosted the show, and he's a really good guy. And that show was a really good show because it touched all genres of music that night. We touched on a little bit of country, a little bit of R&B, a little bit of Southern soul, some hip hop
Nice.
stuff in the building. So and Elsie, who was on the show, she is a black female country artist from Hattiesburg, Mississippi. She's going to be on America's Got Talent, by the way, next week. And she is amazing. So it's a lot of talent that's here, Tamika. It's a lot. I can't even begin to list the young people that are out here right now that are really making some noise. But the future looks very, very bright. The immediate future looks very bright for Mississippi.
Okay, I had to write that down. So that's good to know. And so I would love to, so we have a radio station. It's WBDR, We Believe digital radio. And so what we're going to do is, even on these podcasts, they're going to take the talking part, the audio part, and put it on the radio. And then I would also love to have any Mississippi artists on our radio show just to promote them, because why not? Like, why not promote them? And then, I mean, all genres of music. So if you do country, gospel, whatever it is, send it to us. We would appreciate it. So one thing I'm going to talk about, and then we'll get out of here, unless you want to add something. When you did your intro, Brad, you mentioned all the things. What you didn't mention, and maybe you're not doing it anymore, are you still doing the day parties at different spots throughout the city?
Yeah, I absolutely am. That's something that I do that I don't necessarily kind of, it's kind of a group project per se between myself and DJ Twigger. We have day parties unlimited, and we do what I like to fashion as grown folks day parties for people that are 30 and up. And it was just an idea that he and I had. We wanted to create a climate for grown folks who wanted to be able to go out and enjoy themselves and hear grown folks music without having to be encumbered with, all of the energy from young people. And, the young people, they're energetic. Their party scene is much different than it is for us, at our age these days. And, and we talk to a lot of people as well who, they don't want to be out late. They wanted to be at home by 9 or 10 o'clock. So we are offering, with Day Parties Unlimited, we offer a day party experience where you can come to the club and experience the club, drink, dance, and have a good time. And you can be headed home by 9 o'clock. You can be in bed, rubbing your feet together by 10 o'clock that night. You'll be able to get up and go to church the next day. So it kind of just took off. We were just kind of doing something to kind of like say, let's put this out here. And the next thing you know, we're going on 2 years of doing it, and we're doing them at Phoenix Bar and Grill now. And our next one will be on July the 25th. So it's free admission. All you got to do is just show up. But it's a fantastic time. And we've had people in there, Tamika, that I know were in their upper 60s. I think there was a lady in there one day that was like 67 or 68 years old. And she said, this fits perfectly for what I want to do. So it ranges from 30 all the way up to 68. But what you're going to come in an environment where you don't have to worry about any craziness happening, and you're going to hear some good music, and you're going to be able to go home and get into bed and get you a good night's sleep and get back up on the next day and be able to make church. And that's kind of what we created. And it kind of just, sometimes you do some things that you're not even expecting to blossom, and they blossom. And that's kind of what happened with the day parties. And it got to the point where we kind of had to start kind of, giving some attention to it and making sure that we're keeping the brand on point. But yes, we're still doing the day parties, and, Hourglass is still doing events, whether it's us or whether it's Day Parties Unlimited. So I keep my hand in the entertainment game, because this is where I come from. That's how I got to, I'll never look down on or never, talk negatively about, being a part of the entertainment industry or the music business, because it's how I got here. It's how people got to know Kamikaze before I evolved and grew and matured into the person that you're seeing now. So I'm going to always love music, always love entertainment, and anything that I can do in Jackson to provide a niche for people that are looking for it, I'm going to do it. So whether you're following me on social media and you're following my post, or you're following me on TikTok, or you meet me at a day party, or you meet me when I'm moderating an event, wherever it is, I'm going to be representing Mississippi. And, I'm just going to do my dead level best to make sure that everybody in the vicinity is taken care of and having a good time. So, that's that.
That's right. And I really appreciate it, because when I come to Jackson, I'm always looking like, okay, where is the day party? Because I live in Atlanta, like I said, and God help the young ones, and I had my time when I was young. I had a ball doing what I was out there doing, but now I just want to do
but you still got your time. Our time is not over. That's what I tell people. Our time is not over.
my good time looks a little bit different. I don't want to be
Yeah.
out there sweating. I just want to maybe do a few line dances, a little
Mhm.
two-step, and then
Yeah.
go home. When I go to a brunch, I don't go to brunch in Atlanta most of the time because it's like a twerk show to me. I'm not
Yeah.
there for that. I'm not there for you to do all that over my food, right?
Yeah. Well, we might need to come to, because we've been talking about my Danielle, who is the new executive director of Jackson Indie Music Week. She's taking over the reins. She's in Atlanta, and we're talking about possibly, bringing one of these day parties over to Atlanta at some point. If we find a venue and find a good spot. But I'm hearing that the folks in our age bracket and a little bit younger are looking for a spot to to do some things without all the extra that goes along with it. So we might just be doing something over there soon.
Well, let me know because I will
Yeah.
pull up.
Yeah.
I will be pulling up.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. So one thing before we go, for those who do not know, could you please say your name and then how people can get in contact with you for all the things you mentioned?
Certainly. My name is Brad Kamikaze Franklin. You can follow me on Facebook. It's Brad Franklin, or Brad Kamikaze Franklin. I've got those two pages that you can check out. Instagram, it's Mr. Franklin 601. TikTok, it's Brad Kamikaze Franklin. So that's me on all of the platforms. Oh, on Twitter, it's at Kamikaze 601. But I'm not on Twitter as much anymore because of Elon Musk. So I'm moving over to Instagram and Threads. But that's how you can get me. And shoot me a message, shoot me a DM, shoot me a comment on a post or whatever. I'm always open and happy to meet new people. And do a little moderate amount of debating if I feel like you got a valid point. If you're just a racist, I'm not going back and forth with you, but I will do a moderate amount of back and forth with you if I think that you're making some kind of sense. So, we can do that.
I love that. And that can be done in a healthy way. So I'm glad you
Yeah.
said just a little bit, as long
Yeah.
as it's healthy, right?
Yeah.
Because
I give a little bit.
this is a conversation. We're not going to always get along, but we do
Correct.
need to respect people's opinion, and we can say, I disagree with you and move on.
Yes. As long as they're
All right.
respected.
Well,
As long as they're
they have
respected.
to be. Because
Yes.
things could go a whole different way real quick. You got to be respectful
Absolutely.
about it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So you guys, I want to say, I'm sorry, were you going to say something else?
No, I was going to say thank you for having me. This has been great. I'm glad we finally got this arranged and got this happening. So I appreciate you for having me.
I thank you for coming, and thank you to my sponsor, Stephen James Foundation. Yeah, keeps me with my champagne, keeps me
There you
with
go.
it. I appreciate it, bro. Thank you so much, Brad, for coming. I'm spending this time with us, and I hope you come back.
Sure, I will. Thank you so much. Y'all be good.
You're welcome. Good night,
All right.
you guys.
Double BD and yeah, we live again. Double BD and tell a friend, bring a friend. Lights, camera, action, let the show begin. Beverly